ANC Free State Executive has opted to have its provincial conference on the 7th and 8th of December. This new date comes after Bloemfontein Court nullified outcomes of some branch general meetings in the Free State as a lead-up to the ANC's National Elective Conference. The court also declared the provincial conference unlawful as it stood for this weekend. ANC Free State becomes the latest province to seek intervention of the courts in their elections or leadership outcomes following KZN and the Northwest. Political analyst Professor Sipho Sepe joins us now on the phone line. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. What's your take on the Free State's provincial conference actually being moved to the 7th and 8th of December?
Well, I don't think it was so much of an option. It is a consequence of a court that had found that some of the branch general meetings were invalid in the sense that they were not conducted according to the rules of the ANC. And so this could as well be something that you could say it's preemptive, and it might actually be good for the ANC that this matter was actually raised now than if it is actually raised just on the day before the conference, because it will throw the conference in disarray. So the sooner the matter is actually addressed, the better. So it calls again on all the ANC leaders to ensure that they also stick to their own processes. It should actually be an example of frustrating any effort that tries to gain the upper hand politically without going through the fair process that has been articulated by the organization. But at the same time, I also think we should worry when the courts become, they assume the role of a nanny state, where sometimes we need to have parties to resolve their problem. I mean, we can't always be treating parties as if they are children. And what it means is that when they fail, it should be to their own detriment. But I do think that what the courts are actually saying is to remind the parties that you have a constitution. We didn't make that constitution. And because you made that constitution, you have to be seen to be the first people who comply with it. But at the moment, it is a minor setback that can be corrected if the Trude House assumes the role of guiding the process. But it is unfortunate that party members have to resort to the courts to make sure that the party behaves and conducts its affairs in a manner that is consistent with its own constitution.
Now, Professor, just speaking to the spokesperson of the Free State this morning, they have to reconvene certain BGMs, and he mentioned that reconvening these BGM meetings will be inconsequential to Dlamini Zuma still coming out as the provincial candidate. Do you have a comment on that matter?
Yeah, well, I mean, the delegates, branches have their own delegates, and there is also a process of selecting those delegates. What the conference was supposed to do, at least in my understanding, was more about the consolidation of a perspective that will emerge from those branches. And anyway, if you one were to look carefully at the position of members of the ANC, their position has long been made. The only thing that would happen is to persuade those who are on the fence. But by and large, members of the ANC know who their leader is. And I think also it is made much more easier because the leaders seem to hold different perspectives on issues. There are leaders who seem to play more to the gallery that is external to the ANC. There are those who want to stick to the interest and the focus and the policy of the ANC. Others are simply chance takers, and this is why you see them now and then changing their posture, because they are actually reminded of the core mandate and the core policies of the ANC. So if a member has to decide who is the real leader of the ANC, it will be a leader who has consistently espoused the positions that are in the ANC, not the leader who has to be reminded now and then about what the process of the ANC are, what the systems of the ANC are, and what are the policies of the ANC.
Professor, thank you so much for joining us here on Vogue Africa and for your analysis. That was the political analyst, Professor Sipho Siepe, joining us there on the phone line, also raising concerns about how parties seem to have to be reminded by the courts to follow their own constitutions.
We have tasked the Secretariat in the province. We are in consultations with Little House. Look, we understand that the courts are the final arbiter on matters of litigation, but we've also noted the fact that the judgment didn't do anything unusual, did not resolve fundamentally unusual and impose on the ANC. The ANC internal processes of dispute resolution has also instructed for the rerun of certain PGM, which came before them. Some of these ones, of 29s, were part of these ones that were rerun.